King Tutankhamun, better known as King Tut, was not a wise or powerful ruler, yet he is the most famous pharaoh of ancient Egypt. Archaeologist Maglio Boscarino is on the case to discover why.
Walk like an Egyptian.
I am archaeologist Maglio Boscarino. I am on the case to discover why King Tut is the most famous pharaoh of ancient Egypt.
The kingdom of ancient Egypt was in power between the years 3100 BC until the year 30 BC, a reign of almost 3,000 years.
Egypt is found in northern Africa on the Mediterranean Sea. The river Nile runs north and south and is the heart of Egypt. While the river Nile offered rich land to cultivate and thrive, the deserts surrounding it protected Egypt from foreign invasion.
Not many civilizations can claim a lifespan of over 3,000 years, let alone one that made vast cultural contributions that still resonate in modern times. Ancient Egypt, with its linguistic and mathematical innovations, spirituality and religion, and extensive political and military might, set a high standard for all civilizations that followed.
Architecture also helped define the greatness of ancient Egypt. Temples, the pyramids at Giza, and obelisks are examples of some of the great architecture that ancient Egypt brought us.
This is an obelisk that I discovered at the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum in San Jose.
It was tradition for a pharaoh to be mummified after death and then buried with many of their treasures. It was thought that the treasures would be needed in the afterlife.
Grave robbers would break into the tombs in order to steal the treasures. It was thought that not a single pharaoh's tomb was left undisturbed.
King Tut was one of hundreds of pharaohs during the Egyptian dynasty. He did little to be remembered during his reign. Archaeologist Maglio Boscarino continues to search for reasons why King Tut is remembered by all.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Tutankhamun was born in the year 1343 BC, more than 3,000 years ago. His father was King Akhenaten. His mother, Queen Nefertiti. Here you could see archaeologist Maglio Boscarino, besides a statue of King Akhenaten. When Tutankhamun was 10 years old, his father passed away, and he became King Tut.
How scary it must have been to become king at 10 years of age. But being king had its privileges. King Tut lived in luxury.
Lived a lavish lifestyle in a palace surrounded by many servants, and King Tut was educated.
King Tut could read and write in hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics was a form of communication that was lost for many years until a stone was found with writing in both hieroglyphics and Greek carved into it. This discovery was named the Rosetta Stone.
This is a photograph of archaeologist Maglio Boscarino with a replica of the Rosetta Stone.
Since King Tut was so young when he took the throne, he did not have complete power. Advisors and military officers made the decisions that ruled Egypt. King Tut was a king in name only.
At the age of 18 or 19, King Tutankhamun died due to unknown reasons. It did happen more than 3,000 years ago, and that could be why his reason of death was unknown. More likely it has been forgotten because King Tut was forgettable as a pharaoh of Egypt. He did little to be remembered for.
I have been searching for the reason why a king who did so little in his life to be memorable is indeed the most famous king to have ever lived. I believe that I have discovered the reason, and his name is Howard Carter.
walk like an Egyptian.
Ancient Egyptian beliefs were that life after death was glorious. Pharaohs went to great lengths to ensure that their afterlife would be full of all of the luxuries they enjoyed while alive. Tradition called for pharaohs to be mummified and buried in tombs along with great treasures that they would need in the afterlife.
The most famous tombs were the pyramids of Giza. Unfortunately, everyone knew the tombs were full of treasures. That made the tombs a target of anyone who wanted to make the treasures their own.
Archaeologists in the 20th century were on the hunt to discover tombs of an ancient pharaoh. Unfortunately, each and every time a tomb was discovered, it had already been robbed of its treasures. One of these archaeologists was Howard Carter. It was his dream to find an undisturbed tomb. It wasn't an easy task. For 15 years, Howard Carter searched. Finally, in 1922, a new tomb had been discovered. Would it be empty? Would Howard Carter finally admit his defeat?
The answer was an astounding no. When Howard Carter entered the tomb of King Tut, he was the first to do so in more than 3,000 years. The tomb was full of treasures. A historic discovery. The greatest treasure of all was the mummy of King Tut.
Howard Carter had made a discovery that would assure that ancient Egypt would be preserved forever. Howard Carter made King Tutankhamun a forgettable child king, one of the most famous rulers of all time. King Tutankhamun is grateful to Howard Carter.
Dancing by the Nile,
Disco Tut,
the ladies love this style.
Boss Tut, Tut,
Rockin' for a mile,
rockin' Tut, Tut.
he ate a crocodile. He gave his life for tourism.